Dear citizens of Israel, yesterday, before the start of Shabbat, we achieved a historic accomplishment for the State of Israel. After direct negotiations between Israel and Lebanon, mediated by the United States, we reached a framework of understandings that allows us to move forward toward ending the conflict, and with God's help also eventually reach a peace agreement between the two countries. As part of these understandings, the United States and Lebanon recognized Israel's right to maintain a security zone inside Lebanon as long as this is necessary for our security. We will continue to maintain this zone until Hezbollah and the other terrorist organizations are disarmed, until there is no longer any threat against Israel coming from Lebanon. I want you to know this is a major blow to Iran and to Hezbollah. Iran, which tried to force us to withdraw from southern Lebanon. You heard these demands all the time, and you also heard their disappointment and their criticism of their agreement with Hezbollah. I defended our vital interests and opposed this idea that they would force us to withdraw. And Lebanon, Israel, and the United States basically tell Iran, this is none of your business. You have no role here. You have no involvement and no role, neither you nor Hezbollah nor any terrorist organization. Israel and Lebanon have agreed on 2 areas near the Yellow Line, recommended by the Israel Defense Forces, where there will be a pilot project to dismantle Hezbollah and transfer control of the area to the Lebanese army. I'll show this to you on the map. The black line is our international border with Lebanon. The yellow line is the security line, or more precisely, the line marking the security zone, and here is a small addition we made in the last few weeks. Where are the pilot areas we're talking about? The first one is completely outside the security zone, and the second one is an addition beyond our original security zone, which the Israel Defense Forces say is not essential from an operational standpoint. So basically, they've left there. These are the 2 pilot areas. In other words, Israel remains in the agreed security zone, nothing that protects us. And this is a huge, huge achievement. Because what did they try? They tried to get us out of there in various ways with different kinds of pressure. That obviously didn't happen. I thank President Trump and Secretary of State Rubio for their involvement and their contribution to reaching these understandings. I thank the government of Lebanon and the people of Lebanon. They have shown a lot of courage. I thank the Ambassador of Israel to the United States, Yashel Leiter, and our team. They have faithfully represented Israel in negotiations. We are breaking here the axis of Iranian terror, but we are also breaking the Iranian political axis. We managed to reach this framework of understandings for a simple reason, because we struck Hezbollah hard, and Hezbollah, which expected to receive help from Iran, did not receive it. They did not receive this help because we also struck Iran hard. And we did all this thanks to the extraordinary courage of our fighters and also thanks to the smart and brave decisions we made. I want to remind you what happened in Lebanon. Hezbollah had 150,000 missiles and rockets, and we eliminated about 90% of this huge arsenal. We demoralized them in the Bapers, eliminated them in the Nasrallah, eliminated the commanders of the Hadwan force. Just in the last 2 weeks, we eliminated more than 200 terrorists, and at the beginning of the war, more than 9,000 Hezbollah terrorists. We took control of Balfour, and we will remain in Balfour. We established ourselves, took control of the Aliyata mountain range of Binjbel. They are under our control. We are eliminating their terrorist infrastructure throughout the region, all this yellow area. We are simply eliminating the terrorist infrastructure. There are bunkers there, there are tunnels, there are terror villages. We are eliminating everything. We're not done yet. We still have work to do, especially regarding the global problem of explosive drones, and in this as well, we will be the first in the world to bring a solution. But one thing is clear, there is a historic achievement here. This agreement strengthens Israel and Lebanon and weakens Iran and Hezbollah. With God's help, this is a sign of what's to come. We will continue to do whatever is necessary to restore security to the residents of the North, just as we have successfully done in the South. We did it again, thanks to the courage of the fighters and commanders, and also thanks to your steadfastness, residents of the North. And we are bringing you not only security support, but also more than 20 billion shekels to restore prosperity and freedom to the North. That's what I want to see. A calm border between us and Lebanon, a peaceful border. And in the North, I want to see security, peace, and prosperity. And what happened in the South, which is now prospering in the area around Gaza, will also happen in the North. That is my goal. With your help and with God's help, we will achieve it. Questions from Channel 14, Hillel Beatonhosen. I'm not hearing. You will hear in a moment. Is there any other Channel 14 here? Pass it on. And 24, Nadav Elimelech. Hello?
How are you, sir? What is Israel's freedom of action, and how will it be preserved despite Hezbollah's violations? And would an Israeli response put the continuation of the agreement at risk from the American perspective? And with your permission, sir, a political question. To gain 3 more weeks until the dissolution of the Knesset, do you intend to present legislation that resolves the issue of the ultra-Orthodox with the Torah study law? We saw this week how divided Israeli society is on this issue, given the national mission and the map of combatants you presented, as well as the manpower crisis in the IDF.
Our freedom of action to neutralize all threats that put IDF soldiers at risk. This is a clear directive. I said, and I repeated and said, if you see danger, act. It's not just a right to act, it's a duty to act against an immediate threat. When the question arose whether this exists or not, I gathered the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Staff, and said, let's issue another clarification, an explanation, and an emphasis. You, IDF soldiers, act against any threat that puts your lives, your safety at risk. And as I said, in the last 2 weeks, under these guidelines, we have eliminated 200 terrorists. And I can tell you, it's not always the immediate threat, for example, the one closest to you, for example, yesterday as an example, right? There was a potential threat farther away from our soldiers, with no immediate risk, but they saw 7 terrorists entering a distant house. And they hadn't shot at them yet, nor had they organized themselves, but that house was neutralized, and those 7 terrorists were killed. Our directive is to act against threats. And I remind you that we do one more thing. We are constantly eliminating, as I have already said, the terrorist infrastructures within the territory, the bunkers, the tunnels, the positions above and below ground, which can also put our forces at risk. Now, regarding your second question, I think there are forces among us that want to bring the next step. They want to aggravate and deepen misunderstandings, disagreements, or divisions among us, and I think that's a terrible mistake. We need to make every effort to resolve our internal problems with understanding and broad consensus, because we have enemies out there and they are certainly waiting for us to start a civil war. And I say, as Menachem Begin said, civil war, never again. And to do this, I intend to form a broad national government, not a restricted government, a left-wing government that depends on the Arab parties, but rather a broad national government, because only in this way, I believe, can we reach consensus among ourselves. What does this mean? This means, above all, enough with the boycotts. And I don't boycott anyone. I say that everyone can join. You just need to agree with our fundamental principles. That Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people, that we respect individual rights, that we have a free and also technological economy, and that we have the ability to defend ourselves. And I want not only energy independence, which we have already achieved, and not only economic independence, I also want independence in security, in our arms industries, simply to reduce dependence on other factors. And I also want consensus on the subject of recruitment and also on the judicial issue, also there to try to reach broad consensus to change direction. And I think that's possible, and I intend to do it. You don't make progress on this when you have the Yeshivot Resh Der Haredi send me a message saying, Prime Minister, when you send people into the yeshivot, take Torah students and send them to prison. No one enlists. We simply received a huge response from the ultra-Orthodox public. The ultra-Orthodox youth want to enlist. But when you bring arrests into Torah study, it has the opposite effect. Not only that, if I told you that in some country in Europe they send the police into the yeshivot and take young people who study Torah and put them in prison, you would be shocked. Now I want to make it clear. For me, anyone who doesn't study Torah, there it's necessary to make the special agreement that was made. And also there should be sanctions. But anyone who doesn't study Torah, the full weight of the law can be applied to him, including imprisoning him. That's clear. Here I would pause for a while to reach these broad agreements. That's what I'm looking for. And I say again, this will be my policy, to form a national government and try to reach broad understandings on all matters, because we still have a lot to do. Because after we remove the existential Iranian threat, a broad national government can make peace among us, deal with, reap the fruits of our victory in diplomatic agreements like the one we are making with Lebanon, and there are a few more on the way. It's that simple. This gives us the ability to do what I promised on the second day of the war, to completely transform the face of the Middle East. And that's exactly what we're doing now. We're back to Channel 14 Zeriharu. We can't hear. Good evening, Prime Minister. I want to ask how you will act in the face of Hezbollah's violations, as they will try to violate this agreement to bring it down. And what guarantees have you received from both the Lebanese government and the United States? Will they really be able to remove Hezbollah from the region?
Well, we already have a track record. We are moving forward with great strength. We hit them the moment they violate it, the moment they try to violate it or shoot at our forces. We act with great intensity, and that is our best guarantee of security. Security lies in our forces, in the actions of our forces, and it is...
That's what we're doing. The government of Lebanon still has a way to go. It still has a way to go. It's not something trivial, but they did something. The simple fact that they signed this agreement now is an extremely courageous step, because for the first time in many decades, they are sending a direct message to Hezbollah and Iran. Get out of here immediately. We want peace in Israel, whether you like it or not. We want to achieve peace with the state of Israel. And I want to tell you that we heard about the support this has received from the Christian public in Lebanon, as well as from the Druze public, the Muslim public, and even among the Shiites. And this is a fundamental change. And this change came because we changed the balance of power. Hezbollah is not the same Hezbollah. Iran is not the same Iran. And because of that, suddenly, there is an opportunity for something new to emerge. Of course, we will examine this in a practical way. The Lebanese government, especially the Lebanese army, needs internal reforms. The army also has jihadists. The government recognizes this and knows it must deal with the situation. We, of course, will analyze this. But you are asking about our capacity. We will respond to any attack against us, against our soldiers, against our civilians, and against our communities. I think today everyone understands how serious we are about this, and we will act from the existing security zone. Gadi Eisenkot told Yedioth Aharonoth that Lebanon is a political graveyard for prime ministers and that you are stuck there. What is your response to that? And a question about Turkey. Tomorrow the government is supposed to discuss the recognition of the Armenian genocide. What has happened so far?
Did you block that?
This time you...
Will this be approved? And isn't there a fear of an extreme reaction from Turkey? I didn't block this, and I definitely support it. As for your second question, actually your first question, look, I remember one thing. I remember what Gadi Eisenkot said and also what others said when we were still in Gaza.
Still in Gaza, what did they say? They said to stop while we were still in Khan Yunis, not to enter Rafah, not to take the Philadelphia corridor. We simply need to make an agreement, get the hostages out, and then leave Gaza, the whole area, and then after 2 or 3 years we can come back to this. That means Deif, Ania, Sinwar, and all of Gaza would still be in the area under their control. They would be alive and in command. And that also means we wouldn't have entered Lebanon in any way. If we hadn't made the moves, we wouldn't have eliminated Nasrallah, we wouldn't have destroyed 90% of the missile arsenal, we would have left all the terror tunnels of the Radwan force there, right here on the border. We wouldn't have taken Binjbil, we wouldn't have taken Beaufort, we wouldn't have done any of that. So according to the view that Gadi Eisenkot and his colleagues reflected, they basically wanted us to end up with 0, 0, 0. Today we are in almost 70% of the Gaza Strip, the territory. We are surrounding Hamas, and we are in the territory, in that strong security zone in Lebanon. So they come and tell us that Lebanon is a cemetery, meaning he wouldn't have done anything to protect his political future, so that this wouldn't become a political cemetery. He wouldn't have entered Lebanon, wouldn't have entered Rafah, also wouldn't have entered Syria later, and wouldn't have entered Iran, and he wouldn't have done it. All the things we're doing because this is political cemetery. So you know what I say? I'll answer you in Yiddish. You know what I'm going to answer you? Who cares? I do this because it's a cemetery and it's not a cemetery. I do this because it's necessary for the security and victory of the State of Israel to repel this terrible axis of terror from Iran that comes to destroy us. And if it's necessary to enter Lebanon, then we enter Lebanon. And if it's necessary to act there with force, that's what must be done. But what we see is progress. We don't just see our progress in security, and there's still more to do. We also see our diplomatic progress. So whoever doesn't see this, of course, can continue with their own perceptions, but I think the right thing to do is what guarantees the security of Israel and the security of the North. And leaving 150,000 rockets and missiles in Lebanon, leaving the Radwan force there with the bunkers and with the tunnels that keep coming back, penetrating our region. And whoever said back then that we destroyed 7 tunnels and eliminated all that underground threat, I heard that at the time, I think from Gadi Eisenkot. That's what he said. No, it doesn't exist anymore. We destroyed 7 tunnels. There are kilometers and kilometers of tunnels there, and today we are destroying them. So I'm doing the right thing, and at this moment I'm not referring to the political issue. I'm referring to the national issue and our national security. We and the brave IDF soldiers in Lebanon are doing the right things. Next question, Israel Hayom Danizakim. Hello, sir. Have a good week. This agreement that was signed is in clear conflict with the spirit of the Memorandum of Understanding,
which in any case already seems shaken in light of Iran's attacks on oil tankers, ships, and Bahrain. That was one of the intentions. That's the Israeli hope. And how do you see that? Since you also said a little about a broad coalition government, which parties would you like to see in it and which would you rather not see? We said from the beginning that we were not part of the agreement between the United States and Iran.
But that doesn't mean we don't have interests. We have interests and we will also express them. By the way, also on the subject, the central issue, which is the nuclear issue, I intend to send a delegation to Washington to clarify what Israel's interests are. But I certainly defend Israel's interests here on our border. And I made it clear from the beginning that we are not going to leave the security zone. I think everyone understands that, and I believe that in the United States they understand that very well too. And the fact is that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, with whom I've had several conversations, he basically gave the United States' backing to this vision of a security zone that prevents Iran and Hezbollah from attacking us. Now, did you have another question? Please go back to him. What was the second question? In the political context, since you
talked about a broad coalition government to reach agreements, which parties would you like to see in it?
And which ones maybe not?
All of those
That accept
the principles I spoke about, first of all, recognizing Israel as the nation state of the Jewish people and the other things I mentioned. Here, there are simple principles. Anyone who is willing to accept these principles, which in my opinion, there is much more unity among the people than you see in the Knesset. Much more. I think there are many principles. I'll give you an example. Another principle of the broad national government I intend to lead. There is no place for 2 states. From the sea to the Jordan, there is no place for 2 states. Now you ask me, 3 years ago before the war, the people were divided. Although most of the people, in my opinion, were against it, a significant part was in favor. I think that has changed. That is a basis for consensus. There is also a basis for additional consensus. People do not want to see a civil war. I am sure of that. There are those who try to incite this and deepen the division within the public. I want to do everything I can to calm this situation. But yesterday, if I understood correctly, someone pulled out a gun, and it seems to me a woman was injured. We don't want to get to that point. And I'm sure there's room to find much broader consensus understandings in some areas, some of which are a source of controversy and many other issues that are not a source of...
real controversy among the people. Thank you very much for everything, Mr. Prime Minister.
Wait, I'm not finished.
I would like to ask for this, please.
I mentioned that we have great achievements and extraordinary accomplishments by the State of Israel, the Israel Defense Forces, and the people of Israel in this war. And I hear criticism directed at us saying, look, you succeeded. You didn't achieve everything. I say that's true. We achieved a lot, and in some places we achieved much more than we thought. In Gaza, we brought all the hostages back. We promised that Gaza would no longer be a threat to Israel. We dismantled most of Hamas's military capability. A few days ago, we eliminated Azadin al-Haddad. What was the reaction? A few weeks ago, what was the reaction? Zero. Not a single bullet, not a single bullet, not a single missile. And what remained, right, were their civilian capabilities. We still have work to do, but that's a huge achievement. You can't compare where we were on October 7th and where we are today. I've already spoken about Hezbollah. We eliminated about 150,000 missiles and rockets, only a few thousand remain. There's still quite a bit left, but it's barely noticeable and nothing like before. There's also the elimination of the Hadwan force and everything else. The SHL-HBV line in crime and the terror tunnels along the border, as well as everything we've done in eliminating thousands of terrorists, is something that can't be compared. The same goes for Iran. We said we would remove an immediate nuclear threat, and we did that. A threat of thousands of ballistic missiles, we did that too. We pushed them back, we reduced their ability to produce that, and we also created the capabilities so that in the end, the Iranian people can do it. I believe it will happen, that the people will overthrow this regime. It's not going to happen overnight. There are protests in Iran today. So these are great achievements. Now, if someone comes and tells you, someone who was willing to stop at Khan Yunis and that none of these things would even be accomplished, and they come and tell you, we who were willing to settle for 0%, come and criticize about the fact that your government didn't achieve 100%, you only managed 80% or 90%, that's a joke. It's just not serious. I think most people understand that there are huge achievements here that we need to preserve, that we still have challenges, and that we need to work on them together. And that's why I say again, what I really need to do is unite forces, form a broad national government, and face the remaining challenges and move forward, taking advantage of and using all the great opportunities that are before us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching this video until the end. Support our project and contribute financially through the Pix key that appears on your screen. We are an independent channel focused on bringing you the truth. Your contribution helps us stay on our feet.